his physical body is telling you that we're two different species and you focus on that kind of shit.
One look and you had to be pegged, huh? Just another cat lady, about to eat some cat food. But you'd be wrong.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you all for joining me at this time. My name is Charlotte.
Oh, thank you, Layla. I see. Thank you so much. But my TV had clicked on this, and this was 4 days ago. Yellowstone is showing signs after Mount St. Helens trembles. All these earthquakes and stuff. Now, Yellowstone Park, and they just said it on this thing right here that in the last several months, it's been 350 earthquakes. Within the last several months, the last few months. But I was listening to a brother yesterday, and he was talking like, honey, it might be 10,000 earthquakes if that crossroads is met. When them two attractions meet, he was talking about it was a mount something. It'll come to me, y'all, but he was talking about it, and it's really the core of the earth is what it is. It feels. To me, when I was listening to it, it's like, you know how we got a spine? Well, that's the earth's spine. And it's right there along that fault. It's right there along that fault line. So if that angle reaches that angle, once it crosses like that, that crossroad that our ass got to decide, make a decision on, then Mother Earth is finna, ain't gonna be no stopping her when that happens. Yeah, so we just need to be prepared. Yeah, be prepared to elevate. We got to be able to, to shift with it. whether the vengeance that belongs to my ancestors, whether it's above or below, we got to be able to fluctuate with it. If we got to go underground in our makeshift bunkers, we better take our asses down there. We got to get out because Mother Earth is speaking and trembling and shaking. Then we're going to have to come up out of there and be able to levitate because we can. We can levitate. I know. It's hard to believe. It seems like it is, but it ain't once you start learning. Once we start learning about us and try to connect the dots, and you're going to see. Once you connect them dots and stuff, y'all, it's like once you see that little spark between some random connections, you know, you're onto something. Keep going. And I'm just saying, you know. But yeah, what I was doing, y'all, I was planting my cotton. You know my cotton? Yeah, we gonna read tonight. But my cotton, I decided to go ahead and plant it because it's growing roots. I'm finna plant this cotton. It fell off the stem, my cotton. But you know, cotton got seeds in it, right? So since I'm starting my garden right here, and somebody sent me some cotton. I ain't got no cotton and stuff, so the ancestors told me, take that seed out of there, put it in some water. And it started giving me, here's a seed right here. I wish y'all could see me tear it up and stuff, this cotton right here. Let me see if I can focus it down. And there go the seed right there. So let me get the roots so you can see before we start reading, because I got to do the copyright disclaimer anyhow. Right here. Come on, babies. I know. Yeah, I know. I take you through a lot, but I love you, though. Yeah, try to talk to them and stuff. Talk to my plants, honey. I'll sing Natalie Cole, Our Love to them. Sure will. Come on, I just want to show you off a little bit. Oh, it is so beautiful. Oh, my ancestors. Look, y'all. Look, that's a cotton seed. It gave me a root. I'm finna plant it. And look at them right there. It's trying to open up too. It's trying to open up. I'm gonna put it back in the water though. But yeah. Oh, yes. See? It's a new day, y'all. It's a new day. I don't know. Don't ask me why I want some cotton, but yeah. I stopped the whole car. Wait, pull over. What's wrong, face? You sick? You got a piss down? What's wrong? Yeah. Wait. Stop. Yeah. I'm telling y'all, let me sprinkle a little water on it. Yeah. Hey, cotton. Okay. I'm ready now. I just want to go on and put a little water on it and set it in there and stuff. And yes, thank you so much for waiting. Okay, let's get started. Hey, Call Dog, how you doing? My brother, it's so good to see you. Oh, I just planted my cotton. I picked the seed out of my cotton, and I just planted a couple of the seeds. Yeah, because they gave me some roots out of them. Y'all. So yeah, I'm planting cotton too. Shit, I want, yeah. I don't know. It's kind of like, wow, what am I going to do with some cotton and stuff? But hey, I'll be weaving my own shirts and stuff, I guess. Let's see. Let's get our book and our copyright disclaimer, honey. I hope y'all had a wonderful day today. I hope you had a wonderful day today. I hope you went outside and got you some sunlight. And you know, sunlight, it increases your mitochondrial DNA. No, your melanin content. Yep. Being in the sun does. It energizes me. But whatever it is and stuff, I hope you got out there and got your sun. Because it is beautiful, honey. Time is speeding up and stuff. And, you know, it's so much going on. America is motherfucking falling. Babylon is crumbling. And, you know, our ancestors is speaking. Mother Earth is waking up. The cosmos is ready to strike. The cosmos is ready to open up, honey. The thunder, that we've been waiting on and stuff. Make sure my little head thing don't fall off because I chunk it across the room anyhow. But it's so much going on. It's a wonderful time to be alive. And our ancestors is here now, waking up, speaking to us. And don't even get me started on the Pleiadians, the aliens and stuff. You know, it's 300 different races of ET out there in the multiverse, y'all. It sure will, son. You see one of them, don't get scared, don't faint. You ain't got to do all that bullshit. You ain't got to faint, start crying, running away or nothing. Ask them some questions. We need answers. We need some answers, y'all. If they were going to do anything to us, they would have been no did. I don't care if you see the Greys, the Pleiadians. It's so many of them. It's a whole lot of them. My list is way over there, too. Or I'll call off some of them for you. But whichever ones it is, you ain't got to be afraid and stuff. Ask them some questions. I got a couple of questions to ask them. I sure do. I'm just saying we don't know what's going on. Area 51 anyway. Decades ago. See, ain't nobody told us what we need to know. America just succumbed to everything. Just drug us along with it. Literally. So yeah, don't worry, just be wary. Be prepared. Whatever may come. Might be a meteor, might be a missile. I don't know. Just be ready. We got to just be ready. Hey there, how you doing, Kelvin? It's so good to see you, my brother. We finna read, real soon. I ain't gonna go into no long, rant and stuff tonight, like I feel like doing. We gonna go on and read about Robert. Let me get the copyright disclaimer out the way, and we reading about Robert Sadler, y'all. So the copyright disclaimer under 107 of the Copyright Act 1976 allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Non-profit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. So you can teach your people. You sure can, honey. I seen a little girl today because all the babies is graduating. Said she want to be a teacher. Sure did, honey. I think she was 5, and her family had her out and stuff, and she was all dressed up for her graduation and stuff. I'm going to be a teacher. I say, ain't that something? So they love reading. Our babies love reading. We should read to them. Hey, Shantae, it's good to see you. Yes, it's good to see all of y'all. I hope we all, learning our best life. Not just living our best life. I hope we learning our best life. And it's our people. It's our people. This is where the best is for us, honey, for our babies. We never got it. We never got it. Imagine if we had got all of this information, all of this knowledge about us. Imagine where we would be today. But we can give it to our babies, though. Yes, honey, we can teach them. And they'll know they got all that greatness in them. Let's do it. Let's do it. Fuck the dumb shit. It's our time now. It's our baby's time now. Yep, their future. So let's maximize it, because y'all done gave me 2. Y'all done gave me wonderful numbers. Gave me a good push off today. Like when you just start riding a bicycle and you got to push off the curb and stuff. You get that little push so you can get going. Yes, honey. I must have had both of my feet on the pedal. Y'all was like, gone face. I'm going to push you now. I ain't going to run beside you. I'm just going to give you one good push. Yeah, because you usually have to, I'm going to run up a few steps with you, but I'm going to let go. Shit, I can't keep running beside this bike. Shit, you got the pedal. Shit, riding beside the bike. They riding it and you run. Pedal now, focus, pedal. Yeah, just give me a good push. I appreciate y'all. Because, we going to read tonight. I don't know. I just feel, grateful. Very grateful. And, I was saying earlier, y'all, I feel like because it's been like a drainage, a tiring, that I've been going through and stuff. I just been like sleepy like a mother. Sleeping like a pregnant woman or some shit. But it's over now, I think. I hope so. You know, now I can get back to my regular schedule, you know, of what I like to do and stuff, because I would just be so tired and drained, even after 4 nights of sleep. When I hadn't been on here and stuff, I was getting plenty of sleep then, but I would still wake up so tired and stuff. But I think it's over now. It must have been the phase, because you know the sun is throwing out a lot of solar flares, y'all. The sun is throwing out hella mega solar flares. And there was some pressure behind the sun. It wasn't pressure. It was more like waves or ripples, I guess. I don't know. But it was affecting Earth. And us, that the cosmos manifested, is resonating off of us, our trauma, I believe, and the Earth's trauma, and the cosmos, you know, trauma, because white folks done fucked with everything. And so Mother Earth is feeling that. And the cosmic energy, the ethers is feeling that. They're feeling us, our trauma. So all of this right here is connecting together. It's connecting together, honey. Just get out the way. Do what you got to do. We got to do it. I'm trying my best, honey. I don't want no motherfucking me. Yep. I'll slip up with it and stuff, but we just got to try. And we'll get stronger. Letting go of these vices that's on us and stuff. We will. I promise you, we will get stronger. And then we ain't got all that medicine. And don't stop your medicine, though. No, I don't know what you're taking and stuff. If you're taking medicine, you've been taking it, keep taking that shit. And, you know, reach out to Dr. Yaki and let him know your diagnosis and what all you taking and stuff, so he can help you regulate and wean that shit out of you. All that meat, all that mucus forming foods and stuff, milk and cheese. Matter of fact, let me go get my cilantro. Yes, do you know that cilantro, I had set it out so it could get room temperature. And let me see, what is that? 87% lead, 91 mercury, and 74% aluminum. Cilantro removes 87% lead, 91% mercury, and 74% aluminum. You eat cilantro, it removes that from your body. Yep, aluminum is accumulated. I ain't finna eat it now. Be forever chewing that cilantro. I ain't got but like 15 teeth, 12 teeth, because I don't let white folks just pull all my teeth out and stuff, and that ain't even what you got to do. Dr. Yaki got a toothpaste. Yep, that even fix your teeth. You ain't even got to have the root canals and stuff like that. It fix your teeth. Yep, I'm going to reach out to him and help me just grow my teeth back. Fuck it. Shit, you know. But if not, oh well, shit, I just chew with the few I got. But yeah, we got to start eating right. Yep, the deodorant that we put on and stuff got all that aluminum in it. Everything got these metals in them. So we got to start practicing a new eating regimen to chelate it out, to get all of this out of our system and stuff, y'all. We do. That's the difference between us and our ancestors. They ate cilantro, parsley, ginger, turmeric. They had those, and it was good in our foods and stuff. And we make our food so good, but it ain't got none of them healing ingredients in it like it used to. So yeah, we got to get back to all of that. Yeah, I'm here for it. Yes, honey, I am here for it. I am so thankful that our ancestors is finally getting the recognition and the payback that they deserve, that they want, because ancestors said vengeance is theirs. Yeah, when you look in their eyes, when they show you them, you gonna know vengeance is theirs. Yeah, but let's read anyway. I was so happy, y'all. We on chapter 5. We are on chapter 5, and we remember, if we was here last night, now Robert done been through a lot and stuff. You know, he was enslaved and stuff, and his sister Emma died, and his mama died. His father was an alcoholic and stuff. He been through a lot, so now he's back with Pearl, cause his daddy, they kept selling him and stuff. But he back with Pearl, and let's see where we going. He started talking again. He stopped talking. He only 5 or 6 years old now, I think. But yeah, let's read. I was so happy to see Pearl that I didn't care about anything else. Mr. Bill hurled some orders at Pearl to take me to the slave quarter. And with a yes, sir, Master Bill, sir, she took my hand and began running around a wooden walk alongside the house, past the kitchen door, then across the yard past a smokehouse, chicken coop, barn, and down a dirt path to the rows of shacks the slaves lived in. Can you just see that? They went around the big house, past the kitchen door, across the yard past a smokehouse. They passed a chicken coop, a barn, and down a dirt path to the rows of shacks. And then were the slave cabins, the quarters. Pat, that's how he said her name because he couldn't talk and stuff. I pleaded. I had so many questions to ask her. Where were we? Will we stay together now? Was it really a wicked place? Would Father come back for us? Pearl knew exactly what was in my confused mind. She sat me down in some dirt next to one of the shacks. This be Sam Bill plantation, she told me. Father done sold us again. This be home now. I nodded. We be together and you don't be down in the mouth. Again, I nodded. It be evil here, but you do what be told you and you'll be just fine. Come on, let me love you now. You got any love for me, child? With that, I leaped into her lap, hugging and wrestling, and we tumbled in the dirt together, laughing just like always. Being sold as a slave boy didn't bother me because Pearl and I were together again. I forgot Rosie and Father's cruelty. I forgot Father's drunkenness. I forgot the loneliness and the despair. Pearl was there. Later, Pearl stood me up and looked at me. Then under her breath, she said, Pappy never done should have carried you over here. You're just a dumb old baby child. Pearl was standing in one of the shanties with a married couple named Buck and Corey Moore. They were both field hands, and they worked in the fields from sunup to sundown every day. Buck and Corey had shown Pearl kindness in sharing their cabin and food with her, and now I was added to the family. They took to me right away, and I felt at home with them. We had cornbread, molasses, greens, and corn tea for supper that night. And I ate like I hadn't ate in an age, because his daddy, new wife, Rosie, starved them. Her kids ate good and stuff, but his kids, him, the baby, the little boy, and Pearl had to sit on the floor and stuff. And he sold Pearl, but he didn't sell the little boy right away. But then he ended up selling the little boy too, because Pearl hated them kids and stuff. I got me some clothes, y'all. I'm finna put some in my water. See? Some clothes. Yep. I had wrote down some little drinks for clothes, and I'll share them when I bring it in here. I think I got it in the kitchen in there. Yep. You see? And just drink it because I got to start drinking more water. Yep, that's it. I got to start drinking more water, so I might as well start adding cloves, ginger, or little things like that to it to give it a little flavor for me. Yeah. But let's read. Yeah, he was eating good, though. They all was. That's good because nobody ever let them just eat. Corey said quietly, he plumbed starvation. Pearl explained to me that life at the big house was like, what life at the big house was like. She told me that Mr. Bill was a hard and tough bossman and that he should stay away from him when he was drinking. He was especially evil then and enjoyed torturing his slaves. This is a true story, too. Mrs. Bill, Pearl told me, was a kind enough lady as far as white ladies come, but she didn't trust her no how. There were 6 children in the Bill family. John was 8 years old and very mean. Thomas, 6 years old, just sort of mean. Juanita was 5 years old, Virginia 4, Ethel was 3, and lastly, the baby Anna, who was 1.5 years. There were about 5 house slaves. There was Big Mac, who was the hired hands cook. Then there was Mary Webb, who was the family cook. Harriet was the housekeeper, and she had 2 helpers, a girl named Daisy and my sister Pearl. I was overjoyed when I told her that I would be working in the big house too. That meant I could be with Pearl all day. Pearl and I slept together on the floor of Buck and Corey's shanty on a pile of dirty rags, and there was no blanket to pull over us. We were better off than we had been at the Billings plantation, though. In the big house, it was Big Mac, who gave me my duties. I liked him right off. He was a tall, lean man with very dark skin. He had a scar that ran from his forehead to his chin, just missing his eye and spreading out like a row of tulips on his cheek. So it came from his forehead around to his chin, just barely missing his eye. He had a large booming voice and hands the size of two big kettles. Could it be from trying to take off that chain, that mask, that thing that they have around your neck, and he was trying to lift it up over his chin? I don't know. Let's read though. Just make me wonder, how did that happen to him? Every morning before daybreak, you'll get some sticks and light this here fire in the cook stoves, he ordered. Then he took me from fireplace to fireplace in the bedrooms, showing me how to light them as well. I was also to keep the wood boxes filled. I was amazed as we passed from room to room in the big house. Even though the bills were not rich white folk, I thought the house was dazzlingly beautiful. I saw carpets for the first time in my life, stuffed chairs with antimacassars, Macassars, stuffed chairs with antimacassars draped over their arms and backs. I saw carved hutches and rows of china dishes sitting inside them. Now, I did learn recently that white people used black people hair for stuffing in their chairs and stuff. Used our bones from the elbow to the wrist. Used our bones for letter openers. I didn't even know. I got it somewhere on some papers and stuff, but all of that shit is just like, yeah. I saw polished tables and ornate kerosene lamps. I saw curtains and bedspreads. There were pictures hanging on wallpapered walls. And in some of the rooms, wonder of wonders, I saw toys. I had never dreamed of playing with a toy because I had never seen a real one. Big Mac caught me staring at a large stuffed bear. He laughed and said, "It ain't real, boy." I grunted, trying to ask him what it was for. Big Mac said, "Them's the white chillins." Now he say children like chillins, Chillens, chillins. And they soon as cut off your black fingers and let you touch it. It was also my job to sweep the back porch, the wooden walk, and the yard. If I didn't keep these clean, Big Mac warned I would get whooped good until I learned how to do it right. I wanted to say, "Yes, sir, Mr. Mac, sir," but it came out like, "Yes, sir, Master, sir." It almost sounded like talking. Big Mac didn't even seem to notice. In fact, Big Mac never once made mention of my speech problem in all the years I was a slave on the Bill plantation. And he never once referred to me as dumb. I think he must have been a very great man. I had very little contact with the white folk. And although the white children were strangely interesting to me, I didn't have to have anything to do with them. That is, not right away. When I finished my chores at the big house, I would run back to the slave quarter and play with the other children whose parents were out in the fields. I was delighted to have some friends to play with. I learned new games and new sports, ones that my little sister Ella and I never knew about. There was a game called baseball, and we played with a stick and a stone. I loved it, although I couldn't hit the stone with the stick at all, nor could I run and catch the stone very well when someone else hit it. The enemy in all of our games was always the white man. The white man was hated with fierce intensity in the quarter, and the children especially expressed their hatred in their games and sports. They had one game they played called Kill Missa Thrasher. And what it was, Kill Missa Thrasher, where they beat rocks on a pile of dirt until it was flattened. I learned that Thrasher was the name of the chief overseer, the most hated and dreaded white man on the Bill plantation. He was known to have whooped slaves until they just fainted. just because they stood up and broke the bent over posture they were forced to keep while picking cotton. Oh, so they couldn't straighten their back up. They couldn't bend their back to get the kinks out of it from hours of picking cotton. And ain't it ironic? Right here today, a lot of old white people you see got that hunch in their back, damn near to the ground. That's all that motherfucking evilness done passed through. It ain't let up. It flipped the script. Showed it. Stay moving, black people. Yeah, let's get rid of all this bullshit, these vices and crutches and shit, and become our greatest. Yes, honey, let's stand up always. Yep, see? It hit them. It came back on them. Wow, ain't that fucked up? Every night after supper, I'd go to the big house to be with Pearl, and I'd stay there until she was through work. Sometimes she would be working until 10 o'clock at night, and she would have to be back at 4 o'clock in the morning. I just liked being near her, so I waited in the big kitchen for her on the steps outside, being careful to stay away from the white folk. Then we'd walk to our shanty together, and maybe we'd sing or maybe not say anything. It didn't matter. It would seem like we'd just get to sleep when Pearl would nudge me to wake. I'd run to the big house to light the fires while it was still dark out and everyone was still asleep. The slaves' children ate their noon meal from a large pot of boiled cornmeal that was brought down to the quarter by either Pearl or Daisy or one of the bigger slave boys. This was dumped into a large wooden trough and set on the ground. All of the children came running with pieces of shingle or cardboard or a tin can to scoop out what they could get. If you ate fast and got there first, you'd get the most. If you were like me, you got there last and never ate fast enough. Nobody was ever filled up though. No slave child ever had enough to eat. I usually ate breakfast at the big house. After I started the fires, Big Mac would give me a hunk of cornbread and some hot coffee. I'd crouch down by the cook stove and gulp it down. I was up long before the sound of the horn was heard in the quarter, waking up the slaves. One morning before the overseers came to eat, Big Mac gave me an apple and said, "Beat it now, here." I ran out of the kitchen and stood breathless in the dark by the side of the smokehouse. I was almost 6 years old and had never before eaten a whole apple. I ate the whole thing, the core, the seeds and all. Mary Webb, the family cook, was a surly little woman with flashing black eyes and a thin pointed nose that shot out from her face like a bullet. Her mother was a slave and her father was a white man. She was one of the many transferred slaves that came from another plantation. Often a slave's family was torn up like Mary's, leaving husband and children behind, and they would never know where their family was taken off to. Mary Webb was filled with nastiness, demonized. I think she was. She had a high-pitched, railing voice you could hear for 2 miles. "Get that skillet yonder," she shrieked at me. If I didn't jump with all my might to do as she said, she'd scream so loud my ears would ring, or she'd throw something. One day while I was helping Pearl finish scrubbing the large griddle, Miss Mary screamed at me to take out the garbage. I didn't move fast enough to please her, and a terrible rage came over her. I froze as I saw her spring for a large carving knife. She lunged at me just as Big Mac hollered, "Move, boy!" I jumped, grabbed a can of garbage, and flew out the door. The knife whizzed through the air and missed my head by a hair. Any other time when my response to Miss Mary's command was not to her liking, she hit her target. She threw a heavy cast iron biscuit pan at me and got me right on the forehead. I was knocked unconscious, just like Harriet. Remember Harriet Tubman when she was a little girl, Minty? When she was a little girl and she was a black man, he was a slave, he was escaping his master, and he ran through the little store, and Harriet stood in the way from the master chasing him, and the store clerk threw a bag of sugar and hit Harriet in the forehead, and she was unconscious. That's why Harriet was having them visions when she was helping the family, the ancestors escape to freedom, and she would faint. That's because she was having visions, which were downloads, in my opinion. But yeah. A cast iron biscuit pan. I was knocked unconscious. Robert, honey, I heard Pearl call. She was stroking my cheek and holding a tin cup of yellow flower tea. Robert, honey, you know what? You'll be 6 years old now. You was a big boy. Oz, you done become 6. June the 27th, last. Don't you forget that date now, here. Some people just don't know exactly when they was born. But you do have. You is 6 years old, June 27th, last. I didn't feel any different being 6 than I had felt when I thought I was 5, except for the large bump on my head. But Pearl seemed to think it was important I be 6. Pearl was growing prettier all the time. She had high cheekbones like mama, soft full lips, and small, even teeth. Her eyes were large and deep set, and she always looked as though she was studying in her thoughts. She was almost 15. Her good looks bothered Buck and Corey. They said a black slave girl is better off ugly. I had some bad headaches after the blow Mary Webb gave me. Big Mac would get irritated if I talked about it, so I learned early not to complain of physical pain. Slaves just don't complain about pain. They couldn't. Made me think about James Marion Sims, you know. Sundays were my favorite day. The white folks usually went out on an outing after church, so Pearl could leave the big house and we could go for walks together or go visit some of the other slaves. One autumn Sunday, about 5 o'clock in the evening, Miss Harriet, the Bill's housekeeper, came down to the quarter looking for Pearl. Come on, she called. Massa calling, yo. Pearl's eyes widened in fright. What do you want with me? Mary Webb, she be drunk and can't cook nothing, no how. He wants you to come up and cook a meal for him and his friends. Reluctantly, Pearl followed Miss Harriet up the path to the big house. Buck's face was solemn as he watched her go. I ran after her to go along, but Miss Harriet shooed me off. Pearl did not come back that night. In the morning before sunup, I ran up the cold dirt path to the big house to light the fires as usual. I picked up a load of wood from the wood pile first and carried it to the house. There was a small light flickering in the kitchen window. I entered the room and saw Big Mac hovering over something on the floor. It was Pearl. He saw me coming in and put his hand up. Go away, son. Ain't nothing for y'all to see. Pa! Pa! I screamed. Big Mac couldn't keep me from her. And being afraid I'd wake the entire house, he didn't hold me back. Pearl was lying on the floor so badly beaten I could barely recognize her. The master and his friends, Big Mac sobbed. They had beaten and burned Pearl with a poking iron. She was bloody from head to toe. Something happened to me when I saw her lying there. A cold, icy, finger-like vice gripped my body, and with every ounce of strength I had, I hated the white man. Big Mac picked the thin, broken form of my sister up in his big arms and carried her outside, down the path, and to the quarter of Buck and Corey's. In his strong arms, she looked no bigger than a child herself. Corey fixed up some ornaments to lay on Pearl's body and face. Some places she put leaves, other places lard, other places some grease gotten from the wagon wheels. Pearl was conscious and screaming in agony. Big Mac had to leave right away to cook the breakfast for the overseers. Some women field workers came and prayed over Pearl. Some of them cried, but most of them just looked at her with hard, cold faces. They knew what had happened, but there wasn't a court in the world that cared. As the days wore on, Pearl began to get better. Soon she was out of bed and able to use her hands. Her hands had been burned the worst. They had put them right in the fire. The rest of her body had open sores which festered for months. Pearl didn't go back to work in the big house after that. She was sent to work in the fields. I was hard sick over it. She went to the fields before sunup and didn't get back to sundown. The only time I could see her would be at noon when they let the slaves eat dinner. And at night, she was sullen and quiet now, and she was always exhausted. Field work was hard on Pearl. She wasn't strong to begin with, and being outside in the cold, barefooted, and wearing only a thin cotton dress, she developed a cough that wouldn't stop. The wounds on her body were still healing, and it pained her terrible each time she coughed. Corey gave her everything she could think of. She made special root teas. She made a syrup with molasses and some bitter leaves. She put hot poultices on her chest, but the cough wouldn't leave because she was still barefoot. Her body was still exposed to the elements and stuff. Then, to my complete horror, early in the winter, I was moved out of Buck and Corey's shanty and into the big house. I was not allowed off the grounds, which meant I couldn't go to the quarter. They put me in the same room with the white sons, John and Thomas, who were 8 and 6, and the baby Anna, who was almost 2. My new chore was to mind baby Anna. I sat crying on the wood box in the kitchen the first morning. I was ordered to live up at the big house. Big Mac saw me and he came striding over to me and slapped me hard across the cheek. "There'll be no more of that, you hear?" I was stunned. I knew nothing else to do but cry. I couldn't fight back. I couldn't even talk. I could only hate and cry. It was almost noontime on the first day at the big house when I got what you might call my official welcome. It came in the form of the dreaded overseer, Thrasher. I had heard many terrible things about him from the other slaves, but I had never seen him. When the overseers came for their meals, I had made it my business to be out of sight. This day, however, I was caught off guard. Besides, the big house was now my home, and I was not allowed to go to the slave court anymore. I could go only as far as the wood pile, by orders of the master. It was while I was coming from the wood pile with wood and sticks in my arm for the cook stove in the kitchen that I met up with Thrasher. I was trying to hear it with my errand because I didn't want another biscuit pan in the head from Mary Webb. Around the corner of the yard came Thrasher, riding on his powerful brown and white horse, and he straightened in the saddle when he saw me. I stopped, bowed slightly, and tried to say, "Good day, sir." Thrasher's voice boomed at me. "Nigger boy!" I whirled in my tracks as he removed the long black whip he carried on the horn of his saddle. He raised his arm high in the air, and the whip came cracking down on my neck and shoulders. The blow brought me to my knees with wood and sticks falling to the ground. "You black nigger boy, you call me Mr. Thrasher, sir. Hear ya?" Mary Webb came to the kitchen door when she heard the sound of the whip. Thrasher turned his rage on her. "You better learn this here, you black nigger slave boy, how to talk right. No, you better learn this here, you black nigger slave boy, how to talk right, or he gonna be a dead nigger boy. You hear ya?" "Yes, sir, Mr. Thrasher, sir," she said in a high mocking voice. When I tried to get up, I wobbled on my feet and fell backwards in the dirt. Mary Webb watched me go down, wiped her nose on the back of her hands, and went back inside the kitchen to finish her work. The pain burned like hot fire on my neck and shoulder. I finally struggled to my feet and dragged myself to the kitchen door of the big house. Mary Webb was standing at the cook stove. Her eyes flashed when she saw me. Then in a high, shrill voice, she called, "Robert, where's that wood I told you to get?" We are on chapter 6 of Robert Sadler's life. It was the winter of 1917. I was 6 years old, and so was Thomas Bill. I think we'll go to chapter 9. I think we'll depend on the time. I think I'm doing good. I think I'm reading good. We discovered I was 6 years old, and so was Thomas Bill. We discovered one another the very day that Thrasher had given me the lash in the yard. I was standing by the doorway of the room I was to sleep in with the white children. The pain in my neck and shoulders was awful bad, and I was feeling nauseous. I wanted to lie down, but I was afraid to in that room where the white children were. Thomas saw me standing in the door and he said, "What's your name, boy?" "Robert," I answered. It came out like Wobber, Wobber. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to call him sir or not. "My name is Thomas. Are you 7 yet?" I couldn't answer that. I didn't know if 7 came before or after 6. I'm going to be 7 and a half. I'm going to be 7 and have a birthday, Thomas told me proudly. I'm going to be 7 and I have a birthday. He showed me the bed he slept in and the bed his brother John slept in. Anna's crib was right near the little cot that had been set up for me. In addition to the little cot, there was a tiny dresser for me. I had nothing to put in it, of course. I stared at the room. There was a real ceiling and the walls had blue flower pot wallpaper on it. The bare wood floor was polished and there were little rugs here and there. There were pale blue curtains on the long, low windows, and the sun was shining in the room, making it seem warm and cheerful. "You'll all clean yourself up," Thomas told me. "Yo got blood all over you. Ugh." Big Mac washed me up outside in the yard by the side of the house. "You do your own cleaning up after this, boy," he told me. He washed me by pouring icy cold water from a bucket over my body and scrubbing me with a bar of hard soap. He used dried leaves as a scrub brush, but he was very gentle around the cut of the lash on my neck and shoulder. "Got you deep, boy," he said with a tone of disgust. After the icy bath, which left me chattering, came the worst part. It was the putting on of the new flax shirt. The coarseness of the fabric was like a million tiny pins sticking into my skin. In a few days, this hair shirt would be smooth as a rose petal, Big Mac assured me. I stumbled inside after him, feeling feverish and cold. He fixed me a cup of sassafras tea and told me to drink it down. He even tied a clean rag around my wounds, and that would keep that shirt from poking off in it and stuff. I stumbled inside after him, feeling, In spite of the pain I felt from the lash wound and the pricks of the shirt, I lay down that night in my new bed with a feeling of excitement. It was the first time I had ever slept in a real bed, and I was sleeping in it all alone. I had a blanket that was clean, all for myself too. I did not stir until the next morning when Big Mac tugged at my foot. "Fires need lighting, boy," he said softly. I stared dumbly around me in the darkness. For a moment, I had forgotten where I was at. The pain in my neck and shoulder reminded me, and my body felt raw and sore from the scratching of the new shirt. I struggled out of bed into the cold air and hurried to the wood pile for sticks and wood to start the fires. By 4 a.m., I had all of the fires lit, including the ones in the cook stoves. I was still in the kitchen when the dreaded crew of overseers filed into their special dining hall for breakfast. There were 11 of them, including Thrasher. They were mean men with dirty mouths. They looked like giants, and it seemed to me like they hated everything, even each other. They all lived on the Bill plantation in dwellings within a few minutes of the big house. Some had families and some didn't. Most of them were heavy drinkers, just like Mr. Bill, who was an alcoholic. Thrasher caught sight of me and hollered across the room, "Nigger, you got some manners yet?" I stood to my feet. "Yes, sir, Master Thrasher, sir," I mumbled. Thrasher snorted. "What's your name, nigger boy?" "Wobber." "Wobber, sir, Master Thrasher, sir." Thrasher laughed and the others laughed with him. "He's a dumb nigger slave boy too, ain't he? You want another lash, nigger?" "No, sir, Master Thrasher, sir." Big Mac passed by with a bowl of hot biscuits, and Thrasher's attention was then drawn to the food. I hurried for the broom and the scrub brushes to begin my chores. First the porch, then the steps, and then the yard. Bill chapter 7. Whew. We got a new black puppy. Want to see him? John Bill walked through the front hallway with a stringy-haired friend his age. Nah, I knows what a nigga looks like. Ain't no different from any other. They all the same. Big Mac told me that the white folks like to have little black puppies around. Some folks had 2 or 3 of them like me sleeping in their bedrooms with me. It was our job to run around after the little white masters, cleaning up their chamber pots and doing other dirty work they didn't want to do their damn self. One day after I was finishing my work, Miss Harriet was taking the sheets off the children's bed and putting them into the laundry pile. She was a large, stern-faced woman, and this day her mouth was drawn tight and her eyes had a distant look. I done raised these chillins, she said aloud, although I was the only one in the room. I had the feeling she wasn't talking to me. I done nursed them all at my breast, each one of them. Each one of them. I done washed their bodies and took care of them. When they was sick, I done fed them their meals and I done put them in the bed at night. Her voice trailed off and I saw tears streaming down her face. Later that morning, Big Mac told me her own baby had died the night before in the quarter. Her other children had neglected to feed him right, and he starved to death. But she was over there had to feed they damn kids. I done nursed them all. I nursed them all at my breast, each one of them. I done washed their bodies and took care of them when they were sick. I done fed them their meals and I done put them in the bed at night. You know, nobody taking care of her babies. They possibly didn't know. Maybe he didn't have the milk. The slave women bore children by their own men as well as by the white bosses who used them whenever they wanted to. These women worked either in the field from 4:30 in the morning till after dark, or like Harriet, they worked home. They worked at the big house all day and night. When they finally were at home for a few hours before they'd have to return to work, they'd be too exhausted to care for or feed their own families rightly. So the job was left up to the children themselves. The older children had the responsibility of taking care of the babies and the little ones. Sometime an old slave granny was put to work minding the children in the quarter when she got too old to go to the field. I learned that Harriet had 7 children of her own, and while the master's babies were sucking at her breast, her own children were neglected and going hungry down in the slave quarter. Harriet had a husband once, but he had been sold to a plantation owner in Alabama. After he gone, Big Mac said, Harriet never smiled no more. These were things my child's mind could not understand. But even if I couldn't understand, I felt bad about Harriet's baby dying because I remember how bad I felt when Mama and my little sister Ella died. Dying was not good. It meant they weren't anymore. Just like my mama. She was there all the time. And then one day she wasn't there. She was no more. It makes you sad and it makes you lonesome. Saturday night was supposed to be payday for the slaves. Since the big house was now my prison, I could see what went on from there. The slaves would line up at the smokehouse or the plantation stove, and the man would give them their provisions, usually flour, sugar, some salt pork, beans, cornmeal, and some tobacco. Then they tell them how much they owed them, and it was always more than what the pay was, so the slave didn't get paid. Sometimes when they come for their pay, the man would say, Master Bill is out of town, won't be back till Monday. He'll pay y'all then. Of course, Master Bill never did pay him on Monday, or any day for that matter. It was very rare when he would throw $1 or $2 at the slave. With winter coming, shoes were needed, and so were warmer clothing. Not everybody got shoes, and not everybody got another layer of clothing. Many slaves died in the winter months, and many were crippled up by the cold. I hoped I would get some shoes or maybe some trousers. I began to ask Harriet about it. She was indifferent, and I realized it was hopeless to continue to ask. I miss Pearl. I longed to see her, and and soon I became desperate to see her. Knowing that my punishment would be a whooping if I was caught, I began planning to sneak down to the quarter. I got my first chance one evening when the children were in bed sleeping. Master Bill was away, and Miss Harriet was upstairs with Mistress Bill. The house was still. I crawled out of bed quietly and, barely breathing, moved through the kitchen, the porch, and then out the door and down the steps. I was careful to keep in the shadows of the yard. When I passed the wood pile in the stable, I came up to the dirt path to the quarter and broke into a run. When I reached Buck and Corey's shanty, they were surprised and then excited to see me. Pearl held me in her arms and squeezed me so tight she took the breath out of me. We laughed and cried and hugged, and everybody talked at once. They're going to whoop you for this, child, Pearl warned. Pearl was coughing bad, and she looked worn out and so thin. The wounds on her body still weren't completely healed. I asked her if they had given her any shoes, and she shook her head no. He going to get her some. The wind blew through the cupboards of the little shack, and I know there would be no way for her to be warm. There were little piles of rags she slept on, and that was all. We huddled before the fire in the hearth, and when it began to go out, I put more sticks on it and then kissed Pearl goodnight. I promised myself the next time I came, I would bring something for them. The moon was full, and the sky covered with stars when I left the quarter. I ran up the hard, cold dirt of the path in the moonlight, rounded the yard, the stable, and the wood pile. The big house looked like a bulging, many-sided monster in the moonlight. The kitchen side jutted out like a long, flat finger. The sun porch on the east side sat dark, cold, and square beneath the looming two-story arm behind it. Windows peered at me like enemy eyes. My successful brief escape gave me new courage. My thought night and day now was when I would make another break for the quarter and what I could bring with me for my sister. I began following Miss Harriet around as she cleaned the house. I would hold baby Anna and follow along behind Miss Harriet, learning where everything was. At first, she didn't like it, but then she allowed me to tag along with her. When I saw the huge linen closet on the second floor filled with towels and sheets and pillows and blankets, I made plans to steal a blanket for Pearl. Miss Harriet must have seen the expression on my face as I gazed into the closet. She lifted my chin with her big hand and looked me in the eye. We is cold and shivering, and they has got blankets enough to fill a room, Robert. But listen up, child, to what I'm saying. Master don't have no mercy no how on no thieves. Don't you start figuring a way to carry away any of these fine blankets to the quarter here. Master cut off your little black fingers. That week, I was being trusted to give baby Anna her lunch occasionally. There was fresh fruit, sandwiches, cookies, and other wonderful things I fed her under the watchful eye of Mary Webb. And if I so much as licked a crumb from the tabletop, she would scream and call for Mistress Bill and tell her I was eating the baby's food. Yep. Well, if he steal a cookie, he better make sure she don't see it. One afternoon, I had peeled an orange for Anna and stuck one of the peels into my mouth. Mary Webb saw me from across the kitchen and let out a high, shrill scream. She rushed over to the table where I sat with the baby, grabbed me by my ear, and marched me into the sitting room where Mistress was sewing. This nigger done ate Miss Anna's orange. This nigger she said E-T. This nigger done ate Miss Anna's orange, missus. I'd seen it. Mrs. put her sewing down and with a stony glare at me, said in a low voice, I'll speak to my husband about it. Now get out, both of you. I tried to protest, but it was no use. Mary Webb hit me hard with the palm of her hand, and then yanking my ear, she pulled me back to the kitchen. I cried, knowing I would get the lash when the master came home. Master Bill came home in time for dinner. After he had eaten, he came looking for me. Robert, come here. He took me by the hand, and in his other hand, he held the dreaded leather strap. He led me out the side door and took me around to the side of the house where Mac had given me my bath. Then he said, "Take off your shirt and lie down." The grass was wet and cold, and the sky was already dark in the early evening. I could hear a cricket chirping happily near my cheek as the first lash of the leather bit into my back. I don't know how many times it came down, cutting into me. But when it was all over, he said, "You steal from me again, boy, and I'll show your black hide what a whooping really tastes like. Here?" "Yes, sir, master, sir." And he walked away. He wasn't but 6. I think he was still 6. We on chapter 8. Ooh, we might make it another chapter. Yeah, I think this might be it. Hey, Mike TV, how you doing? It's so good to see you, my brother. We reading the Emancipation of Robert Sadler. Yeah, we reading Robert's story. He wanted to tell it, and he was asking God to let him remember everything, and he remembered. He told it. It's the book, and it was written by him and Marie Champion. The days grew colder, and the activity around the plantation decreased for the winter months. Some of the overseers left until spring, and the field slaves were used to fell trees, dig riverbanks, build, mend barns, and do many other jobs necessary to keep the large plantation running. Although it was not a wealthy plantation and Sam Bill was not a rich man, there was enough work for the slaves to be kept busy from sunup to sundown. Baby Anna was put in Miss Harris' charge again since my experience with the orange peel. As I did my chores around the big house, I made plans to pay a visit to the quarter to see Pearl again. I got my chance the day I received my first pair of trousers and shoes. John had worn and outgrown them. And Harry said Mistress Bill had wanted me to have them because she couldn't stand looking at me so shabby and barefoot all the time. The shoes were too small and the trousers too big, but I felt like the richest boy in the world. Then Mistress gave me a shirt to wear too, a cotton one that buttoned like the ones white children wore. It was smooth on my back, and I stroked it continually. I had never worn anything but coarse flax shirts, and this soft piece of clothing was a wonder to me. That night after the evening meal, I waited until the kitchen was cleared out, and then I sneaked into the pantry and took a jar of strawberry preserves and another jar of peach slices. Then I fled from the house as though the devil himself were chasing me. I reached Buck and Corey's shack, panting and gasping for breath. "Child!" Corey exclaimed, "This day after you." We opened the peaches right then and passed them around, eating them with our fingers. Pearl's hands were scarred and disfigured from her bitter experience with Mr. Bill. There was a fourth person in the shanty that night, one I had never met. His name was George Murphy, and he was new on the plantation. Master Bill had hired him out to do some special carpentry. I think he gonna love Pearl. He was a handsome young man, as black as the night. "Ain't no white blood in me," he boasted. Yeah, he like, "Ain't no white blood in me." I liked him right off because he has an easygoing manner, his self-assurance, and his lack of fear of the white man. Pearl was completely taken by him. I have never seen her so radiant. I sat with Pearl's arms around me on the floor near the fire, listening to George tell us stories about his dangerous, exciting escapades. He had done all sorts of jobs, from working on the railroad to building barns. He peppered his stories with traveling news. He is the first person I can ever remember telling us that slavery was against the law. "It ain't legal for a man to own another man," he insisted. "They's a law." George could read a little and tell numbers. That way, he said proudly, nobody could cheat George Murphy on what was rightfully his. The moments passed swiftly, and then I gave Pearl a kiss and said goodbye. I promised I would be back soon. George Murphy put his hand out and shook mine. I felt very important and manly, especially since I was wearing such fine clothes. The clothes didn't go unnoticed, by the way, but the reaction wasn't quite what I expected. Pearl looked at me oddly, and Buck and Corey stared with no expression at all. "You look fine, boy." Buck said finally in a dry voice. That's all that was said about it. I got back to the big house safely again that night and tiptoed to my bed. I slept in my new clothes and shoes, not knowing enough to take them off. The stolen items went unnoticed, and I was thankful and encouraged by it. Next time, maybe I could bring more. Pearl was still coughing bad. I would remember to ask Big Mac about coughing and what would cure it. A few evenings later, while the white folks were having their supper in the dining room and Big Mac and I were eating grits and gravy in the kitchen, we heard a tremendous ruckus in the yard. Big Mac went to the window to see what it was. Wow, wow, W-A-L. Thrasher got himself another one, he said. Mac opened the door. Thrasher had a black man hooked under his arm. He had been slapped around plenty. Fetch the bossman, he commanded. Minutes later, Master strolled out of the dining room, angry at being interrupted during his meal. This here your nigger left his job before quitting time, boss, I heard Thrasher shout. He's a uppity one, that's for certain. Thinks he can do just as he pleases. I was done with my work, I heard a voice insist. I recognized the voice. Quickly, I went to the window and cut my hand to see outside. A wave of horror filled me. It was George Murphy. Master Bill shouted back, we'll see how uppity he can be. We'll just bring him down to meet some of my friends and have a little talking over. Hold him till I get ready. I saw Thrasher drag George Murphy to the horse barn. Master Bill stormed out of the back door. He had been drinking. They threw the tied up figure on a horse and galloped out of the driveway. What'll they do to him, Mac? I asked, terrified. They's gonna tear him apart, Mac answered. And if they don't kill him, he'll wish they had him. Oh no! That's the way they do, son. Them Ku Klux, that's the way they do. I couldn't sleep that night thinking about George Murphy and what they were doing to him. When at last I heard horses and voices in the yard, I ran to the window. It was hard to see, but I made out the drunk swagger of Master Bill crossing the yard. He used the side entrance and went right upstairs. When it became quiet, I crept down to the kitchen, across the cold porch, down the steps, around the yard, and instead of using the path, I ran straight through the brush to the quarter. When I arrived, I heard voices coming from Buck and Corey's shanty. Someone was crying. Several of the slaves were up and around the door. I pushed through them. What I saw on the floor was worse than anything I had expected. Oh, he was lacerated practically beyond recognition. He had been beaten so badly there was hardly any skin on him, and his flesh looked like a hamburger. His face was torn up, and his head was crushed. He was twisted up funny. Pearl was crying and putting some grease on his head and back. He was barely conscious. Corey was on her knees at his feet with a pail of water in it. Some other people was praying. I'll be on the job tomorrow, I heard George swear through cut and swollen lips. Never you mind, Pearl answered. Pearl whispered. I don't think anybody saw me come or leave the shanty that night. I shall never forget what I saw. George Murphy became the talk of everybody in the quarter in the days that followed. News came to us through the house slaves who lived in the quarter, like Mary Webb, Daisy, and Harriet. The next day after his beating, he actually did get up on his feet and put in a day's work. He became a symbol to the slaves of the strength of the black man. Strength of the black man. Shout out to the black man, just because. I love y'all. After several weeks, he became well enough to run away. He made it too, in spite of the hounds and the searches, and nobody ever heard from him again. He remained our hero. Wherever he was, we knew he wasn't owned by any man. The white children taught me games, and we played almost as any normal children played. Normal, that is, except I was not allowed to win or be first in anything. And if they wanted to fight, I was not allowed to hit them back. If I had something in my hand, they could grab it if they wanted to, and I was not to protest. Yet the children were kind to me. At meal times, they often sneaked food from the table to give to me. They would sneak sandwiches and cake, and sometimes a slice of ham or other meat. I gobbled the food hungrily, and they would laugh with delight to see me go at it. One cold afternoon, we were playing in the music room when Mistress Bill came in. "Mama," Juanita asked suddenly, "how come Robert's skin is dark and ours is white?" Mistress answered coolly, "Because Robert and his people were created to be the white man's slave. They are dark because they sinned against God, and God punished them." I listened in alarm. Because they sinned, they have to pay for it, and that is why they are meant to serve the white man. "Are there any niggers in heaven, Mama?" "If they are, dear, they're serving the white people." Told you! Told y'all motherfucking asses. Take your ass up there if you want to. Go on up there. Go on. Your ass gonna be up there. The whole illusion is broke. The whole motherfucking illusion. It's a lie. Everything is a lie. You better free yourself. You better free your baby. You better free yourself. That's all. See, white folks know this. White folks understand this. If it is a heaven up there, you going up there, you serving there. Yeah, they all know it. And for black people to be so willing, so ready, and that's our GPS. That's the destination. They love it. That's what they count on. That's what they need. That's keeping them sucking on your energy, sucking all the life force out of you through your mentality, through your fear, that GPS. You better get off that motherfucker, reset it. You better take the first motherfucking exit you get. You better bypass heaven. I don't know if you're going to go over, around, under, you bust that motherfucker open. But you better go. Go the other way, y'all. I'm just saying, go the other way. Are there any niggers in heaven, Mama? If there are, dear, they're serving the white people. I lowered my head in shame. Juanita seemed embarrassed too. She was learning that a slave was not considered a real person. "Robert don't have a soul, honey," Mistress said without blinking an eye. "Negroes don't have souls. They are just like animals that way." Didn't I tell you? White folks ain't got no soul, no spirit. That's their motherfucking asses. Ain't got no soul, no spirit. Who does this? Who does shit like this to claim they got a soul, that they can go to heaven, that heaven is a peaceful place? Where these beings are that do things like this, never, ever will heaven or earth be a peaceful place with white folks. It won't. Not then, not now, and not ever. That's why they asses ain't told the truth. That's why they asses ain't stood up, ain't admitted, ain't said what they done learned about their ancestors, they motherfucking clan ancestors. They ain't trying to. And they ain't going to. So your ass might as well get used to the truth of what it really is that we dealing with, what we going through here. You better. Because here, they done taught it enough and projected it enough on us. The whole world. Everybody believe that it's us that ain't got a soul. Believe that it's us that are animal-like. 3/5 of a human. Well, now, honey, that's the total exact motherfucking opposite of it. And that's the truth. That's the truth. Yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It is. It is. Where's the lie? Where's the lie? Let them prove it then. Let their asses prove it then. I ain't got to prove a damn thing. They already done told it all in the books. It's in the books what they are. What they are. It ain't gone nowhere. Where did it go? Where did this beastly, this animal nature, where did it go, y'all? Where did it go? How come they got healing? It said you want old face. Everybody ain't like that. Times is different now. Anybody can goddamn it play possum. Look at Black America. Look at Black America. Playing possum, playing sleep. Don't nobody want to open an eye or nothing to see what's going on. I'm just saying, where the healing at? Ain't nobody had no healing. We ain't had none. The white folks done had healing. Where? When? Tell me. I won't wait, though. Sure, the fuck one, you already know. Yeah, you better wake up. You better wake up. Robert don't have a soul, honey. Negroes don't have souls. They're just like animals that way. Don't Harry have a soul neither? Asked Juanita. No, dear. She is a Negro too. And Negroes don't have souls. Juanita looked as though she would cry. Mistress laughed softly. Now, honey, she cooed. Instead of putting on a sad face, you ought to thank the good Lord for giving you some niggas to take care of you. Yes, Mama. We left the music room quietly, and Juanita went upstairs to her room without a word. I went outside to the woodpile. Pearl must have told me wrong. Mom and Ella weren't happy and free in heaven after all. They were black slaves serving the white angels. Whatever I was seeing was to deserve such an awful fate, it must have been real bad. And I've been saying since we started reading Red Summer, that's cotton over there on the other side. That's not clouds on the other side. It looked like clouds to us on this side because we look like we got human and flesh. We're in the physical. That's why it looked like clouds to us humans and the birds and everything that's living. But on the other side is cotton with the stars and the rainbows and the elements of the ethers. It's cotton over there. Your ass is a slave over there too. And don't think you're going to fly free, because you're not. You're not going to fly free over there. As soon as you get over there you willingly want to go to heaven, Black America. Once you do cross over, if seeing all that cotton don't turn your ass the other way, if you don't take a left or a right, I say go right. Go left, go right. It don't matter. Just don't go straight. But once you get over there and you make that, you step on heaven's ground, you get where, you know, they can see you and you can see them and you in the opening and stuff, they're going to clip your wings right away. Yep. Because soon as they see you and stuff, they're going to receive you and draw you on in. And you're going to float right on in into heaven. You're going to float right on into heaven, black folks. That's what you're going to do. And once you get up to that pearly white gates, because I don't know if you floating or they dragging your ass. Your wings is just doing like that right there, though. But you ain't controlling them. They probably got you like that right there. I don't know. Maybe some magical force or something they got up there. Hell, might be the cotton moving your ass towards them gates. But when you get to the pearly white gates and God is standing there and you go in the gates, they clip your wings. I don't know if they're going to clip them as soon as they see you or when you get up to the gates. And on the inside, it's like a type of branding. Just like slaves were branded here. Black people were branded on this planet. Well, in heaven, they're going to brand your ass too. And they're going to take your wings. They're going to clip your wings off. You ain't going to be able to fly out. You ain't going to be able to fly free in heaven. Now, it's different. It's different for our ancestors. All of our ancestors who didn't have this knowledge, who did not have this knowledge. All they knew was God, Jesus, heaven, and hell. That's it, and that's all. When they got over there, when our ancestors who were slain and slaughtered, they were innocent. Even if they had committed a crime, I say out of all the crimes that they claimed that they committed maybe one or two. And the one and two that I knew about was self-defense. And it wasn't a crime, it was self-defense. But I digress. Now, when they did get over there, their wings retracted. the cosmos, the ethers, because that's who we are. We are from the ethers. The ethers manifested us. So they had that divine protection when they ended up in heaven because they were lynched in some inhumane, unmentionable, cannibalistic way. There were many ways that they lynched the black man. We've been reading about them. So whatever that way was and stuff, but when they got on the other side, their wings went in. Their wings automatically went in. They retracted. It wasn't painful or nothing. You know, their wings just went in and they went on into heaven. And I don't know, hell, I guess it was Jesus. That's who y'all said taking you to the Father, his Father. But anyway, he didn't seem to be concerned about it because there wasn't no wings to clip. They poured in that much. But when I came along and I started reading, and it don't make sense to me. It don't make no sense. Where read some at? It don't make no sense. I get read some. It don't make no sense for me. To me, for Willie Brown, them to be in heaven with white folks, and I told them they can leave. You can leave anytime you want to. Richard Coleman, all of them. Tom Wilkes, Sam Hope. We know him as Sam Hope. Yeah, all of them. John Pendleton, every last one of them. Jim Grant, John Hartfield. Every last one of them. I told them you can fly up out of heaven if you want to. And I don't know, they heard me, and honey, I seen it. They were flying, boy. They wings just came out. Honey, before they wings actually came out to full span, they was already running. They was already running, getting ready to leap. And honey, you should have seen all of them coming up, flying up out of heaven and stuff. Yeah, they flew out into the afterlife. Now, you do got some white people in heaven with some black people up there with the white folks, but them the ones that want to be, willingly want to be in heaven with white folks. And so they couldn't, once their wings was clipped, they couldn't leave anyway. That's where they wanted to be at and stuff, you know. And I don't know, heaven is pretty big. You know, I hope they find some peace and just get away from, go to a little neck of the woods of heaven where they ain't got to have much interaction with white folk. But I know for my ancestors, I told them they can get up and go. The ones that I'm reading about and that I cry about, I told every last one of them, you could get up and go if you want to. I don't think not a one stayed in there. I don't know who freed them before me and who gonna free them after me, because we got to free our ancestors that's in heaven. We got to free them. Let them know you don't have to be trapped here in this life and in the next life. No, they deserve to go to the afterlife, honey, where they can be free. They can fly, honey, if they want to. They can roll around on stars all over the multiverse. You see stars, you see holes in the megaverse, in the universe out there, stuff, because somebody rolling around on stars and stuff. I know I am, honey. A rainbow gonna be my slide, honey. I ain't gonna be in heaven with white folks. I'm gonna have my black ass in the 12th of never. Yep. I'm going to the multiverse. I'm going to the afterlife. I'm gonna be way out there, honey. I'm going to the 12th of never. I don't ever want to see another white person. I think Earth, Wind, and Fire said that. And that's where I'm going. Yep, I'm going to be so free, honey. I'm going to just be flying circles around your asses. I might fly down that way and look down off in heaven and see y'all asses down there and stuff. So you better start thinking about your afterlife, Black America. All of this is being revealed for a reason. I'm just saying, you know, as far as I'm concerned. But we on chapter 9. I think we're going to stop right there. I think we will stop right there. So y'all can at least think about it if you want to. That's your afterlife, not mine. I just want you to know. I just want us to know. We need to know these things. In light of everything that's been exposed, so much is being exposed. At the same time that so much is being erased and expelled away from, you know, the sight of truth and stuff. Everything about us, about our contributions and stuff is being expelled, you know, and erased and stuff. Ain't that some bullshit? Man, but you know, yeah, we know our stories. As long as we know our stories, and we can pass them on to our babies and stuff. Ain't no lie. I ain't lying about white folks and stuff. Shit, I'm not racist. I'm not prejudiced. If you want to say I'm prejudiced, so the fuck would say I'm prejudiced if you want to, but I am not racist. I'm gonna tell you what I am. I'm motherfucking suspicious. That's what I am about they motherfucking asses. I ain't racist. Because if I was, I would be saying, yeah, every goddamn motherfucker around here that is not melanated, get up and go. Get up and go back to your mama's grandmama's land. Because you don't belong here. Send their asses, all these white folks and stuff. I don't know if my people say, hey, Faith, let the other folks stay here. Which hell, they ain't helped us either. Then I guess we could talk about it. But for white folks, they ass need to go back to Europe. They need to go back where they come from. All this time telling other people to get out and go where you come from and stuff. They motherfucking asses need to go. They need to go back where they come from. I'm not sorry to say it. Go learn how to be humane. Go learn how to be somewhere else. And then maybe, I don't know if it's going to be a coming together ever again. Because y'all, you can't even face it, what your ancestors did. So, as far as I'm concerned and stuff, just go back where you come from, where y'all come from, the caves, the mountains, Europe, wherever it is. Because this ain't y'all land and y'all don't belong here. You don't belong here. I don't know, y'all. I don't want to be mean to some white folks, some garden snakes. It is some garden snakes. Muhammad Ali said it. They need to distinguish themselves then away from the rattlesnakes and the venomous snakes and stuff. But as far as I'm concerned, I can't distinguish their ass as hell. They all shed. Who to say that in today, allegedly 2025, that a garden snake won't shed as it grow and end up mating with some motherfucking rattler snake, and then you got a guard rattler or some shit like that. I don't know how it works and stuff. So I just feel like, for our safety in this country, we ain't never had it with white folks being around and stuff. And I think they need to just, really consider. Or maybe, get them a couple of states like brother Straight Facts 123, I think that was his name, said get him like a couple of states, maybe 10 to 12, and let their asses be there. And that way they can have their whole mentality and stuff. But the rest of the world and the rest of the country and the groups of people and stuff don't want to have nothing to do with it. I don't know how this is going to work, but we need to get away from them. Just get away from them, Black America, and do you teach your babies, your sons and your daughters. Because, honey, it is not what they think it is, honey. Them little pretty, all the babies so pretty, little mixed babies and stuff. What color is her eyes and stuff? That's bullshit. This bullshit, it ain't nothing but another weaponization. That's all it is, another weaponization. And probably 7.5 years, white folks gonna be telling the mixed race and stuff. It might be sooner than that. It might be 2.5 years to have to get with white men. They're gonna start seeming like white men are all of a sudden the shit. And I guess everybody get with white men, have babies, them little mulatto kids. Get with you a white person, have a couple of babies. Them babies gonna be whiter to increase the white race. Dr. Francis said it's all about white genetic survival. I can see that happening. After 3 generations, your gene, your black ass is just wiped away. The whole construct of everything is being exposed to us. All we got to do is pay attention to it and act motherfucking accordingly. They're like, who was that said, know thyself and dress accordingly? I forgot who said that, but it's the same thing pretty much. I'm just saying. But anyway, y'all, this is it. Yeah, process this tonight because this is graphic too. This is graphic too. Yeah, Robert Sadler. I'm glad he got his story out there when he was like, I'm not the only one who went through it, but I can't hold still no longer. I'm going to have to tell it. I thought I had forgotten, but I haven't. Help me remember, Lord, so I can tell it. Oh, Lord, help me remember. And he telling, I'm so glad he got his story out. He got his story out. We all got a story. And our ancestors want us to read it. So, yeah, that's what we're doing. Good day, Elijah. You are so wonderful. It's good to see you. We finishing up. We starting a new chapter tomorrow night. We've been reading the Emancipation of Robert Sadler. And he finally got his story out there. And we've been reading and learning about his story and stuff. Very traumatic. There's a lot of them, most of them, all of them are. You won't find no happy, well-to-do content, where you happy and gaily and, and slave story. It ain't, I don't care how white folks say, oh, I never was that way with my slaves and I never beat my slaves and starved my slaves and stuff. That's bullshit. That don't mean a damn thing. But, I digress. But I thank y'all for being here. I really do, and I mean it. Process these stories at night because they'll stay with you. They'll linger with you and stuff. You'll be remembering and visioning the trauma that they went through and stuff. And you don't want to have all of that on you. The next day when you go out and stuff, you go on your day-to-day errands and stuff like that. You don't want to have all of that energy and stuff on you about what happened to our ancestors because it's true. It happened and it resonates with us. So that's why we got to process it so we can be able to be our greater self, when we out there and stuff. And I love y'all. I love you to life. So let's process this, rejuvenate ourselves. And I see you tomorrow because, we are reading Powernomics. And we make it subscribe with Powernomics and stuff because that's where the action is at. Because it is very obvious. We need our own Black political party. We need it, Hopefully when I catch up with everybody else on the political scene and stuff and see what they doing and what y'all talking about, what y'all over there reading and signing and stuff. Give me one of them. And that way we can see what they doing and stuff because we need our own political party. If you're going to be fighting for us and stuff on all these levels and stuff, get in position accordingly. We were supposed to had our own political party. That's why ain't nothing getting served to us. Ain't nothing getting delivered, and I don't know. It ain't nothing being successful. So, I don't see why it's so goddamn confusing to Black people what we need. So, we are reading Powernomics, and we're going to learn what we got to do and stuff and take care of your garden and stuff. Yeah, because I'm growing everything, and I love it. I love you, and I love you to life.